Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
We've obviously talked an awful lot about Marshon Lattimore this offseason, and in a variety of different ways, but the majority of the talk had been all the trade rumors, right? I mean, it was just the trade buzz, the trade conversation around Marshon Lattimore was loud, very, very loud. And with the way the Saints restructured his contract, it opened it up even more for them to potentially move on. And, you know, it just, even the comments that Dennis Allen and Mickey Loomis, well, not Mickey Loomis, he doesn't ever say anything, but the comments that Dennis Allen made it seem like, okay, they're going to separate from Marshon Lattimore. Ultimately, they don't. And he's back and he's in the fold, and they have made that as clear as day, as they could in their most recent comments about that. So going forward now, the conversation turns more to his play on the field, which is obviously going to be huge for the Saints and their defense, because Marshon Lattimore's been an incredibly productive player throughout his career in New Orleans and in turn his career in the NFL. But with that comes the caveat of his health. Because if we weren't talking about trade rumors and comments, the coaches or front office were making about that, we were talking about Marshon Lattimore's health in the last 2 seasons, him being injured and missing time. Marshon Lattimore he played 7 games in 2022, played 10 last year. The abdominal injury and then the leg, the guy's been hurt. Really no fault of his own. The injuries seem sort of, I don't really know if I want to say flukish, but along those lines. CBS Sports today got me thinking, though, because they released their top 20 cornerbacks in the NFL for the 2024 season. I know, lists, summer, all that good stuff, but stick with me. Marshon Lattimore checked in at number 11, which, considering the time he's missed the last 2 years, is a really telling ranking. And in their write-up, I'll just read it. It's about 4 lines or so. Lattimore can be frustrating due to his bouts of inconsistency, but few corners have a higher ceiling. When he gets matched up with a premier receiver and really brings his A game, Mike Evans, you feel him on the field. Couple that with 2 of his better all-around coverage seasons over the last couple of years, and you have a player who should at least be fringe top 10. Here's the thing with Marshon Lattimore. And I hear the bouts of inconsistency thing, but the more and we've all been guilty of that, and I think that there is some truth to it. I do. But I think it also gets blown out of proportion to an extent because of how well he plays against the top wide receivers in the league, Mike Evans. And you could say, well, doesn't that just lend yourself to, okay, you're defining inconsistency? Maybe. But why I say it gets blown out of proportion is because when you look at how he grades out, he doesn't grade out like an inconsistent cornerback anymore. Right there, you're seeing him even missing games. He had 2 of his best coverage seasons. Not all those games are against the elite receivers in the league. So I think that part can get a little bit blown out of proportion now at this point in his career. But when it comes just flat down to it, when Marshon Lattimore is healthy, he's awesome. It's that simple. And I have a point. I'll get to it, I promise. But go back to his last healthy season. That was 2021 for Marshon Lattimore. He played in all 16 games in 2021 for the New Orleans Saints. He made his 3rd straight Pro Bowl that year. He was awesome. If you want to take it deeper, off of that season going into 2022, Pro Football Focus graded Marshon Lattimore as the 5th best cornerback in the entire NFL. In 2021, he had what they said his most valuable season from a value perspective. His best wins above replacement, and that ranked third among any cornerback in the National Football League. That was when he was fully healthy, going into the years when he's been plagued. Now, you can also ask, okay, that's still 3 years ago. He's getting older. Marshon Lattimore's 28 years old. He'll be 28 years old through the rest of the season. He'd be 29 going into 2025. That's getting up there. I understand. But that's where this year comes into play. And that's where the point comes into play. We've talked a lot about the Saints in a wait-and-see mode with Alvin Kamara and that contract because of the decline in production that he's had. The Saints feel like they're very much in a wait-and-see mode with Marshon Lattimore because of the injuries that he's had to suffer through, unfortunately. If Marshon Lattimore comes back, is healthy in 2024, turns in a season similar to 2021, where he reemerges as one of the top 5, top 10 cornerbacks in the National Football League, I think there's a very real chance Marshon Lattimore's back with the Saints for 2025 and so on. You've got him under contract through 2026. So that'd be through his 30-year-old season. The other part about that is, though, would a elite season for Marshon Lattimore, where he reemerges as a top 5, top 10 cornerback, what does that do for his trade value at that point? Because then you could pass him off to a team, potentially get more in return than maybe you would have. You know what you have in Paulson Adebo. They're very high on him. Really, the entire secondary. Isn't that one of the best, feelings the Saints should have about all of this, is when Marshon Lattimore's been out? Adebo's played well. Alontae Taylor's played well. You got plenty from Isaac Yiadom last year. Of course, he's obviously moved on. But then you go grab Kool-Aid McKinstry in the draft. So if you feel like those guys are enough, and again, you should from what you've seen, does the elite season, potentially the bounce-back season for Marshon Lattimore, just drive up the trade value? That's the other thing about the Saints. They've clearly been that team, and we've talked about it plenty, that would move on from a player rather 1 year too soon than 1 year too late. And Marshon Lattimore could prove to be that guy, potentially for them, if he does have that bounce-back year. But then to get back to, hey, keep him for yourself, is the fact of how difficult it is to find that ace, shutdown franchise corner in the NFL. I mean, outside of quarterback, left tackle, it's corner, isn't it? Where you want that guy because they just don't come along every year. It's going to create for a very interesting decision for the New Orleans Saints if, in fact, Marshon Lattimore goes out there in 2024, stays healthy, and has the type of season that we've all seen him be capable of since the Saints drafted him in 2017. You and I and all of us have sat here throughout this offseason and talked about breakout players on the Saints to watch, or the most interesting player on the Saints to watch. And we've gone Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara and Derek Carr and Tyrann Mathieu and Cam Jordan. I mean, Carl Grange, all of them. We've gone through all of them. And Marshon Lattimore might be the most interesting just because of what it means to the Saints potentially from a on-the-field perspective in the future, but also maybe even a front office trade move for the team in the future. Keep a close eye on that going forth in 2024. Now that you know Marshon Lattimore is in the boat with New Orleans for sure.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.